So I relatively recently did a video talking about how to distract those executives that feel the need to constantly provide feedback on everything they're presented to. How to give them something to vent themselves on that will remove as little disruption as possible from your project. But let's say you are that executive and you want to figure out how to provide feedback, how to provide value to the team that you're interacting with. So what can you do? So I'm going to sort of paraphrase something that was done on Dragon Age, which is color coding your feedback. If you are in a review for a piece of content or a level or what have you, you can color code your review, and this will help guide the action that is taken off of your feedback. And I think it will actually help you feel like you've provided value without feeling the need to unnecessarily provide feedback. So how do you color code it? Green feedback is positive feedback. You showed this, I thought this aspect of it was really good. That's a great thing to integrate into your feedback process because it feels like you've given feedback, it's non-disruptive, and it makes people feel good. So that's win-win all around. And a lot of us are actually really bad at giving positive feedback. So by integrating a color that gives you the incentive to give a specific kind of positive feedback, that's all great. Red feedback is specifically this thing fails whatever milestone it's trying to get through because of this very specific thing. Honestly, if you're in a review meeting, there shouldn't be that much red feedback. That's stuff where something, ideally, it would have been caught before it was getting to this review. But it's going to happen. With red feedback, you should discuss how this is going to be addressed. Can a solution be presented in an email or in a wiki update? Do you need a new review meeting to happen to go over it again? The thing to try to avoid is to solution craft in the review meeting. It's not your role to fix the problem, it's your role to raise the problem in the first place. If you don't need this to be addressed at all, or you need to be addressed at a much longer future date, then this is not actually red feedback. It's one of the other kinds of feedbacks we're going to talk about now. So red feedback is specifically for this is a failure. Then you have something in the middle. I feel like at Bio it was actually blue, but let's say it's yellow. Yellow feedback is just like a traffic light. It's feedback saying, we're not failing, but this is feedback that I feel could become an issue further down the road. It could be feedback saying that while this milestone doesn't require completed animations, I'm a bit worried that the way this is playing right now, that the animation isn't going to feel smooth. So I'm just worried. I'm providing this feedback and will expect it to be addressed at a later date, at a later milestone. So you're not failing the milestone. It's not even necessarily going to have to be addressed, but you're raising it in order to get it on people's radar. A little bit harsher than that, so orange, halfway between yellow and red, is this isn't failing this milestone, but it would fail if we were at the next milestone. So this must be addressed by the next milestone. So you may or may not need that additional color, that additional refinement. I found it useful because without it, you actually often ended up with feedback in the yellow category that wasn't getting addressed by the next milestone, or you felt the need to elevate things all the way up to red to a fail when that was inappropriate. So by giving something that was just a little bit harsher than that yellow feedback, you're allowing that feedback to be delivered and requiring it to be addressed, but again, not failing that milestone. So as I'm going through this, I think I'm realizing why the very clever person who came up with the colors at BioWare probably didn't use yellow in the first place. What you want is you want two kinds of feedback in the middle here. You want a sort of neutral feedback, which is a great catch-all for I feel the need to provide feedback to justify my job to myself. And you want another one, which is, this is negative feedback. This is feedback that needs to be addressed, but this feedback needs to be addressed at a later date. It's not failing the current review, but it needs to be addressed. The problem with yellow, from a traffic light perspective, is yellow's kind of not really a good fit for either of those, is it? When you are driving and you get a yellow light, there are one of two actions that you can take. You can slow down and stop because the light is going to turn red. Or you can speed up and barrel through because you're going to try to make it before it turns red. And the problem is, because there are those two different responses, you don't want that to be out of your control. You want to know what people are going to do with your colored feedback. So actually, maybe I'm going to reverse what I said before and say, let's not use yellow and orange. Let's use blue, because it's not a color associated with a traffic light. And blue specifically means this is concern or feedback of a sort of neutral negative state that doesn't need to be addressed at all. It's just a warning or a concern or discussion point. And then when you feel the need to give something a little bit more hard than that, when you're giving that feedback that needs to be addressed before you get to the next review, then you can use something between blue and red, so you use a purple color. I think that removes the baggage that a color like yellow carries and allows that neutral feedback category to exist. And I think you do want it to exist, because that's how you're going to suck a lot of unnecessary feedback out of your process, because you're giving a place for it to go. This is feedback I am providing to provide feedback. It does not need to be actioned. By allowing that escape valve, you're giving a place for feedback, for the sake of feedback, to sit. And then finally, something that I found very useful was gray or white or black, like a colorless feedback, which is feedback about the process itself. As you are interacting with your review process, you might find that, the way that we're reviewing plots feels weird because we have tons of branching, but we're only seeing one branch through the path. Going forward, let's figure out a way to see a little bit more of the branching. It's not really feedback on the content at all. It's feedback on the process, or it's feedback on the situation itself. So with those, 5 different colors of feedback, I feel like it will actually let you give feedback better. It will get you an outlet so that you, if you're feeling like I need to provide feedback to be doing my job, can provide feedback in ways that is beneficial to the team, but isn't disrupting everything by all feedback feeling like it needs to be addressed immediately. So, green feedback, this is great. Red feedback, this is a fail. Yellow and orange, this is stuff that needs to be considered and potentially needs to be addressed before the next gate. And then some sort of colorless feedback to provide feedback on the processes and systems of the actual review meeting that you're doing. So hopefully that's useful to a few people that are watching, and it will give you an outlet so that you can provide feedback to your team without kicking the anthill too hard. Special thanks to my members. They provide the resources that this channel needs to keep running. If you are interested in becoming a member, there will be a link down in the description. If you found this useful, please give it a thumbs up, because YouTube will use that information to share this video with more people and help it reach a bigger audience. What are some ways that you found to provide feedback to your teams in ways that lift them up and help them do better work? Please share your thoughts down in the comments. I will see you again soon. Thank you.